How's it going, everybody? Welcome to We Do Tech. So recently Trust Gaming, which is pretty new to South Africa, sent over a few of their gaming peripherals for me to take a look at, and one of those that they sent over was the Heron 170, a pretty interesting looking style gaming mouse. So a big thanks to Trust for sending over the 170 for this review. So let's quickly find out how it performs and if it's actually worth buying. So let's get into the review right after this. Do you live in South Africa and want to get yourself some awesome new gaming products? Well, go check out RebelTech. They have extremely low prices and they stock all the major brands like ASUS, MSI, Gigabyte, KlyzR and many more. So go check out rebeltech.co.za to go get the products you're looking for at a low price. So starting off, the Heron is retailing for about 650 Rand on RebelTech here in South Africa, or about $70 on Amazon. Now, taking a look at the design of the Heron, probably the first thing that you are going to notice is that crazy looking RGB cracked patterns on the top of the body. This might be a bit too much for some people, but some might really like that RGB. As for the build quality, the Heron is entirely made out of plastic and has a bit of a rougher coating over the entire mouse. This does indeed help with grip, but if you do like the feel of a smooth mouse, this could bother you somewhat. It's not overly rough or anything like that would really hinder your gameplay, but it is something worth noticing. Moving on, the Heron has an ambidextrous design that is going to work well for left or right-handed users. The size of the mouse is going to fit a more small to medium-sized hands, with it being not that overly wide. Moving to the left side, you get two thumb buttons that are nicely positioned a bit more to the back of the mouse instead of usually it being way there in the front, which does make it a lot easier for people with small hands to comfortably press the buttons without them having to move their hand or anything like that. The buttons does feel a bit mushy and a lot on the plasticky side, but that's kind of to expect with a mouse at this price point. You do also get a nice curved thumb rest, which does support your thumb quite nicely. Moving on to the right side, you get the same shape with that curve, but no buttons. The ambidextrous design does make it a bit less comfortable for a palm style grip because of the pinky and ring finger placement. It doesn't really have a very comfortable resting position, but otherwise for folks who's using claw or fingertip style grips, it's going to work perfect for those. Now, as for the switches, Trust doesn't really clarify on what switches the Heron uses, but it's most likely on-ROM switches that should have a guaranteed lifespan of over 10 million clicks. As for the switches, they do feel pretty standard. They are a bit more on the stiffer side, but nothing that really bothered me, and I didn't even notice them after a few minutes. They are also not too loud to really bother anybody around you. Moving on to the scroll wheel, which does have a pretty standard scroll to it, not being too heavy. It does have a textured rubber grip and is also illuminated on the sides, so nothing really too different here. Just behind the scroll wheel, you get the Dpi Selection switch that lets you cycle through the 7 different DPI levels, ranging from 500 to 7000. Also, changing DPI levels will flash the mouse at a certain color to let you know on what DPI level you are on. Taking a look underneath the Heron, you get 3 Teflon glide pads. You also get the ADNS 5110 optical sensor with a max DPI of 7000, an IPS of 80 and a polling rate of 1000 Hz. Taking a closer look at that ADNS 5110 sensor, I ran a few tests like I normally do to see how the Heron will perform. Firstly, I did a line draw test to see if the sensor would pull to any directions. For the line draw test of the vertical and horizontal test, it was a bit jerky, but it didn't really pull that much to any direction. And as for the diagonal line draw test, it was almost perfect there. Next up was the acceleration test, where I did a quick 360 and then moved back to the opposite way at a slower speed to see if it would end up on the same spot, and it did not, unfortunately. This just goes to show me that the Heron does have some built-in acceleration, which does sometimes affect your flick shots or just your fast movements. As for the center jump, it was very noticeable and more than what I would have actually liked, but it was still usable in game and in just normal use. As for the liftoff distance, it was a bit high at between 2 to 3 credit cards fitting underneath it and still being able to track, which is about 6 to 9 millimeters. Then the last test was for the central rollout test, and luckily I was not able to roll out the 5110, which is a very good thing for a lot of the flick shots you would use. Now, as for in-gaming, I had no problem using the Heron to get a few kills, and also the tracking and the accuracy was pretty good. Now, as for the cable, the Heron has a 1.8 meter or 5.9 feet non-braided cable with a USB connection on the end. Quickly taking a look at the software, which allows you to create up to 5 different profiles, where in each one you can adjust settings like the DPI for the 7 different DPI levels, adjust the polling rate up to 1000 Hz, change the scrolling speed, and also the Windows pointer speed. You're also able to assign different commands to each of the 7 buttons, like media controls, a program to launch, and also play a certain sound. And then lastly, you can also create and assign your own custom macros if you wanted to. Then as for the lighting, you get 5 different lighting effects, and you're also able to turn off the backlight if you so wanted to. Those effects are Intelligent Spectrum Cycle, APM Breathing Light Cycle, Breathing, Static, and then the multicolor mode. For the multicolor mode, the Heron has 3 lighting zones, which allows you to add different colors to each of those zones. Either a fixed color that you choose, or a varied, which will switch between colors to give it a nice cool waving effect. The Heron also has a proximity sensor built in that will actually pick up your hand if it's close to the mouse, and then will turn on the backlight. Otherwise, it's just going to be completely off. Now, this is kinda a useless feature, but it is pretty cool, and it did entertain my tiny brain for a few minutes. Then lastly, the Heron software also features a trophy tab that shows you a bunch of statistics, like how many times you use the left mouse click button or roll the scroll wheel down. It's some information, some of like that. It's not really anything that major, but it is sometimes interesting to take a look at. Now, in conclusion, the Heron is definitely not the best mouse you can get for around its price range, but it does have a pretty interesting design with that RGB. So if you are an RGB fanatic, even more than I am, as you guys can definitely see, the Heron might definitely be for you. Along with the RGB, it does feel pretty decent in your hand, especially if you are a bit younger or have smaller hands. It will fit very nicely. Again, for gaming, the Heron performs decently well with good tracking and then also good accuracy. Now, some good and bad points about the Heron, I would say the one that stands out the most is that RGB. It does look very cool, and if you are into that, then it's going to be definitely something that you want to take a look at. Now, unfortunately for the bad ones, I would say the style. Now, this could be a good thing and a bad thing, but I added it into the bad ones because of the style it goes for with all of that RGB. It won't be a mouse that a lot of people will go for. A lot of people still like just a sleek black design mouse, and those people definitely won't go for this mouse. So it is an acquired taste, which not everybody will go for. So that might affect sales quite heavily. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this review. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. If you are looking to get the Heron for yourself, you can just follow the links in your video description, where you can get it on RebelTech if you live in South Africa, or on Amazon if you live somewhere else. So yeah, that's again pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you did enjoy this review, please like, share, comment like always. And then of course also a big thanks to Trust Gaming for sending over the Heron for this review and all of the other stuff as well, which we will get into a bit later. But now again, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will check all of you next time. Cheers, guys.